This is what abundance can feel like. You can taste your dreams. They are real. You're no longer chasing the life you desire. You are preparing to hold it.
It is now that we need to get very clear on what makes us totally authentic and unique and follow that. From To Be Magnetic, this is the Expanded Podcast with your host, Lacy Phillips.
And your host, Jessica Gill.
As the leading destination for neural manifestation, we dispel the woo-woo in order to help you create real, tangible results based on neuroplasticity, psychology, epigenetics, and energetics. Our goal is to normalize the practice of manifestation and empower you to get into the driver's seat of your life in order to manifest the experiences, relationships, and things that most align with your authenticity. And by pressing play, the process begins.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Expanded Podcast. Jessica here. If you have been feeling this initiation phase, some may feel into it as the magic dark, some may be feeling tested and triggered, some may be feeling old wounding popping back up again. You are so not alone. Lacy and I are going to break down how that's showing up in our lives, how it's showing up collectively. And if you are ever in that period of transition, this episode is going to be so much of your medicine for navigating all of those things, because there is such a deeper calling being asked of all of us right now. This is our 7-year anniversary episode. I've been with the podcast now coming up on 6 years. Expanded has been around for 7, and it is just so cool. I want to thank every single listener out there. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. Thank you for transforming alongside us, for listening in every week. We could not do this show without you. We are so impressed and honored and just so thankful for your support and love and connection and interest in wanting to transform your life and transform the lives around you and manifest your best life. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you. We are so excited to get to do this work alongside you and celebrate the wins and move through the transitions and all of the steps of the process. We are holding your hand and we wish we could celebrate in person, but thank you guys for 7 incredible years and cheers to many, many more in the future. And we have a really big TBM manifestation announcement coming to you next week. We're going to tease it on social. So if you follow us at the TBM Magnetic Instagram or my personal Instagram at Jessica Ashley Gill or Lacy's or Lacy Substack or our newsletter, stay tuned. I will officially announce everything on the podcast intro next week. But if you want a sneak peek at a big manifestation for the brand and a way that we're going to get to connect with you guys that you've been asking for quite some time, stay tuned on socials. Okay, let's get into the episode and stay tuned for some little tips and insights on DIs at the end of the episode.
And now a word from our partners.
You know that feeling when your entire body just exhales? That is exactly what I feel every time I use the Bond Charge Infrared PEMF mat. It feels like plugging yourself back into nature's power source, and major bonus points when I lay on this mat and do a deep imagining. PEMF stands for Pulsed Electromagnetic Field Therapy. It's designed to match the same gentle frequency of the earth and one that helps your body relax, recover, and restore. It has grounding magnetic frequency, soothing heat, and skin energizing light, all in one luxurious wellness mat. It emits soothing far infrared heat that melts the tension in your muscles, red and near infrared light to boost circulation, help your skin glow, and speed up recovery. And it is layered with grounding crystals like amethyst, tourmaline, and selenite to help your body completely recalibrate. I've been using my PEMF mat first thing in the morning when I roll out of bed. I'm still feeling a little chilly. I'll put on the heat. I'll put on the 8 frequency hertz. That is Sherman's resonance, the same frequency as the earth. And I'll put a little DI on behind my head and just rest, feel into my body, reconnect, wake everything back up in a really gentle, nourishing way. Even 10 minutes on the mat, I can feel a huge shift. If you've been craving a way to unwind, recharge, and actually feel something working, the Bond Charge Infrared PEM mat is way to go for your favorite at-home luxury ritual. And you can get 15% off with code MAGNETIC, all caps, MAGNETIC at checkout. Again, that's magnetic, MAGNETIC, all caps, for 15% off any Bond Charge purchase. You can check the link in show notes or go to bondcharge.com.
All right, on to the episode.
Happy anniversary, guys. We have had the expanded podcast now for 7 years. This is insane. It's gone through so many variations, and it's so cool because it almost feels like it's been in chapters. Chapter 1 was like your expanders. We got to see a pocket into your life, who you were loving. It was the introduction, I think, for so many people into the spirituality of modern day stuff, learning about Jenna Zoe, learning about human design and astrology and all of that. So much of my first imprint was those early episodes with you and your friends and people who were just speaking to you. And then it got into really the science of manifestation, working with Dr. Tara, bringing all of that in. And now it's like your weekly guide to manifestation.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how it's evolved so much over time. We've evolved over time. The show has. It's so cool.
And it's been interesting to like let the listeners dictate where it's going, because we really would just be like, these episodes don't do well. These do. They want it, like everybody listening wants more of this. And really, that's what dictated it to becoming really a manifestation guide podcast.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we get the most questions. The biggest streamed episodes are always internal ones, sharing insights. I think it's also the stuff people come back to. You know, they want it. They're like, oh my God, I'm going through that. I need that reminder again, that pep talk.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay. So we are on the other side of the money challenge. I'm still going through bit by bit. I went through it fully, and now I'm like going back in slowly to different sectors. And I've been really utilizing the Money Challenge Deep Imagining playlist. That has been like my mecca of DIs this summer. But what are your updates? What's coming through? How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were just talking a bit before the podcast, but with all of these planets in retrograde, and they're the heavier planets, right? They're the transformative ones. We have our Saturn and Pluto and Mercury, which is, I mean, this one in particular has been like laughable, how much chaos Mercury retrograde's been ensuing. But the interesting thing is I was on such a high when I did the challenge, and then everything was, well, like Mercury went into retrograde. We already had retrogrades happening, but it's fascinating because it's kind of like a magic dark for me right now. Like manifestations were coming through and energy was moving, but I can tell there's a much, much deeper initiation that's happening for me right now. I can tell because that last week with the new moon in Leo, it was so heavy for me. And there are things happening, like internally, my kids are having a really hard time, not having that rhythm of school, but it's not that. There's like this deep grief that's coming up for me, really deep. And I don't even know what to pinpoint it to. And when I can point it to little things, kind of like you were talking about, Jessica, it's really old cycles that I'm like, have I not fucking dealt with this yet? Like with every angle at TBM. And the reminder is they're cleaning up to allow me to transcend to another level. It's like a lot of cycles feel like they're coming to an end. And just how it's an interesting 10-year cycle, it feels like I'm in. And so, yeah, for me, I've been doing a little bit of DIs, but it's actually been a lot more journaling. That's felt like the most cathartic way to move this energy. And also being, like if there's any DI that resonates at this very moment, it would be the Feel Your Feelings DI, because it's not like something I'm needing to unblock. It's more of like a deep surrender of witnessing and just feeling. Let myself really feel it. And there's a little bit of this stuff happening, these cycles that are coming up where it's like, I'm upset with you, universe. Like, I'm mad at you because
Yeah.
why am I still dealing with this shit? And I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people with things you're going through. And so that's how I know I have to feel through, because after anger is what? When you really feel your feelings, right? So it's like grief and anger. I'm like going through each of those layers instead of like, I'm going to unblock this and all's going to be well. And then I'm going to be magnetic and attract the next thing. And it's like, no, this is a big initiation because something really big's on the other side. And I really need to deal with. Like, and even yesterday, oh my gosh, yesterday was a pinnacle of it. And I was in my hammock. I haven't read a book in probably 4 years, like since my daughter's been born. I've done a lot of audiobooks, but I haven't sat down and read a book. It's been impossible. Like running 4 companies, having 2 small children, it's impossible. But I was like, it's not impossible. And so I've been reading a book for the first time. I talked about that in my Substack today. And I was on my hammock outside journaling so deeply about everything going on. And I was like, all I want to do right now is crawl up into a ball, go into the dark night of the soul, and just feel, it's like a cocoon. I just want to be in a cocoon and feel everything and go through it alone. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm a mom. Like, I can't do that. It's just not possible. But there was this moment of like deep journaling and feeling. It kind of moved the energy in the way that I would have prior to being a mom, where I could have just gone to the forest house for a week and just totally felt all the things. So that's my update.
I think this is so crazy because I always have like a prediction. Like I go through things and then I start seeing it in like DMs and talking to people. And then also hearing you going through the exact same theme. I'm like, okay, there's something here, because I've had the same experience. A lot of other members have written in where there was such a high at the top of the challenge. I think also, like, not to say it was all because of astrology, but unbeknownst to us, there was a lot of positive astrology when we had launched the challenge. So it felt like we were ripening this momentum. And I think looking back and watching the energetics play out, I think part of it was helping us really somatically believe in like that next level. This is what abundance can feel like. You can taste your dreams. Like, they are there. They are real. Step into that life. Things are so possible. Things can move quickly. Like, people were manifesting things right and left very early on in the challenge. And so it was like this high of like, wow, it's all at my fingertips. This is going to be so exciting. And then it's almost like we went into these retrogrades and it was like, cool, but not yet. Let's sit in this surrender. How are you going to come back to daily life now, given all this awareness that cracked open, all the ways you may be settling, all the ways you may be playing small? How are you going to show up in your day-to-day life? Are you still going to be the same person, even if the external hasn't changed yet? You have the vision, you know it's coming, but like, what is that going to impact on your day-to-day? And what other lingering cobwebs are there that you actually can't take with you to this next level, because that next level cannot withstand operating at that frequency anymore? We have to look at that one last time, or from a different angle or perspective, to just really be like, can I make peace with this aspect to really prepare me for the next level? I think it's a line we have in, maybe it's at Expand Your Aura DI, but it's like, you're no longer chasing the life you desire. You are preparing to hold it. That's what we're in right now. What is going to change and shift is going to be partially out of our control and partially beyond our wildest dreams. And there are things that we need to prepare for that we can't even see what they are. Anything coming up is that preparation course.
Yes, I completely agree. And that was the perfect way to summarize. And I bet many people are feeling this. And it is that magic dark thing. It's like everything recedes before the big wave. You know what I mean? And I totally, completely trust that that's what's happening right now for many of us who went through this challenge.
I also want to give like a little insight for people who are navigating this, feeling this. They're like, okay, well, how do I navigate it in the most alignment? What are those practices and things that you're doing, like journaling, listening to your gut and not forcing yourself to do all the DIs, but saying, actually, the unblocking right now is coming from the journaling, and that's going to be my medicine? Or having the awareness to say, actually, no, I can sit down and read a book and feel into things. Like, what are those little things that you're incorporating to help guide you through this chapter?
In these 10-year cycles that are breaking or are shifting and changing, new mediums are interesting to me, right? Not new, it's unused mediums for a long time. Yesterday, I had this crazy sensation. I was like, I need to drive to the ocean right now and jump in it. Like, I needed that cleansing of the salt water. And so that's the invitation. Just anybody listening, follow these pings. I didn't follow that one. I couldn't with like the duration of time I had, but I know all next week because we don't have care starting next week for 3 weeks, basically, which I have been manifesting like all of this time with just my children and just being present. And so we have this like rhythm we're creating where every afternoon we're spending like 5 hours at the beach together.
Oh, so
like take our van, we're going to have the food in it, we're going to have all the things. And so it's interesting, even that ping, I couldn't act on it yesterday, but I know that's what on a cellular level my body needs right now. It needs that sun and like the true mother holding me of the ocean. And every time I'm looking at the waves, when I was at the ocean last week, all I could see were like contractions, how the waves work. And I know that because of birth, but I also don't see them in the literal birth. I'm like, wow, I'm seeing this because there's a new version of me being born. So it's like, how are we all, back to like true abundance and the money challenge, like how are we all being held by nature right now, or letting nature truly guide us, or tuning in to see nature? You know, even yesterday in the hammock, it was like such a figurative, like I'm being held by the mother going into the cocoon. There's so much of that happening. How are we tapping into each of our mediums that actually work for us in this moment? May you be at like the high still, maybe the way everything's hitting your chart and you're in the challenge right now or whatever, you might be at the top of the height of the feeling. But if you do, wherever you are, height, low, whatever, really listening to your pings, really, like to me, I'm like, no, it's not a DI right now, it's journaling. And it's been a lot of breath work that we do at the top of the DIs. So I've been doing a little bit of that. I've been doing a little bit of like the somatic experiencing we have in the DIs, but I'm like, it's not walking through this with my voice or in a journey, it's feeling. It's not getting to the root, it's feeling. So yeah, just giving that permission and that authority to really listen to your pings right now, really tune in on a cellular level. What are you needing to just be in alignment with what is right now?
So good. Yeah. And if you're feeling that inner child, old narrative stuff come up, Daniel actually had this come up too. And he's like, why am I feeling insecure about this? Like, this is so strange. And he's like, does this mean I should do this? And I'm like, don't act from that place.
Yeah.
When that inner child part comes up and is in the driver's seat and just starts laying in all the insecurities and all the fears and all the ways you should play small or do this, don't let that version of self make your decisions for you right now. Listen to that part, attune to it, hear it, sit with it, hold it, go for walks in nature with it, whatever you need to, jump in the ocean with it, whatever it needs, attune to it, but don't let it take over and start making decisions from that place. Because I think that's where people are like, okay, I'm feeling scared. Here's what I can do to stop feeling scared. Don't let that inner child part run the show in this moment. Don't ignore it. Definitely sit with it. But just say, okay, maybe I'm not going to respond to that just yet until I can get back to that higher self in the driver's seat.
Is he an emotional in
Yes.
human design? I am,
and
too.
I'm non-emotional.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I'm getting really in touch with that finally, of like riding the full wave and then responding, which I never used to in the past. So that's really great that he is hearing that and testing that out.
It honestly works almost every time. And I always have to be like, because I can see when it's him and I can see when it's inner child him. And I'll be like, don't send it. Don't send that email. Not yet. Just wait a little bit. And then the next day is like, okay, actually, this was a better way to say that. I'm like, Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. When you're back to neutral. I love that.
There's just more perspective there because it's such a reactive protector part that comes
Yeah.
up. Yeah, it's a really interesting time, but I feel like it's also just want to give this reminder to people that the old stuff coming up, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't mess up. You're not back in the old cycle. Like this is part of human nature. There's a reason we have core wounds because that is what the universe gets us to move, to grow, to feel things, to actually change. And then also just note that whatever that vision is that you felt at that top of the challenge, that North Star, like it is coming, maybe not exactly in the way you envision, but like your authentic aligned version of it is coming. And just know that all of this is the preparation. Hold that vision for yourself. Cause I feel like so many people go back or they go into the crab shell again and then it gets scary.
No, it's like, yeah, it's the North Star and it's nighttime and you're camping out on the journey to get to that North Star. And you just keep on going each day because it's going to be really magical on the other side.
Yeah, 100%. If you have an online business that has courses, maybe coaching, a community group, podcast, email funnels, any sort of membership, let me introduce you to Kajabi. It is the all-in-one business platform where you can sync every aspect of your online business in one place. And no matter how small or big you are, you can scale to whatever you desire with your business at Kajabi. About 2 years ago, TBM switched all of our memberships onto the Kajabi platform, and it has been such a game changer. It allows us not only to customize our online membership, but to create a mobile app for our business as well. Before Kajabi, we had our email on one platform, our membership, online payment portal on a platform where our actual courses lived on a separate platform, and none of that tech was communicating well with each other. So there were always glitches and always issues. But with Kajabi, everything is in one hub, so it is so seamless. The interface is super user-friendly, so you can check their analytics, their backend, your email contacts, anything that you want to customize in your workshops very, very easily. So stop wasting your time and money connecting on managing multiple different platforms and seamlessly integrate everything into one intuitive platform on Kajabi. So if you're curious and checking it out, we have a 30-day free trial. When you go to the link in our show notes, click on it, you'll see a little pop-up and then enter your information to try out that 30-day free trial. Be sure to message their team because their customer support is also fantastic. So excited for you to up-level with Kajabi. Okay, let's get to some of the questions people asked in here. So what are some of your favorite things right now? What is the book that you're reading? Any music you're listening to? Any clothing or adornments or home things you're loving? What is really speaking to your soul?
So much. Okay, so the book I'm reading, I love, it's like the perfect getting back into the saddle seat. So Agnes Badu, my friend who has the beautiful purse line, she DM'd it to me last week and I was like, oh yeah, I'm buying this. It's called The Herbalist, which is perfect. Yeah. And it has all the elements that I love for a fictional novel. I think it's even a self-published one. Like it feels that way. It's like about, herbalism and herbs and thatched roofs and cups by the fire. It's the world I want to escape into and it's perfect and I love it and I'm whipping through it. So it feels like I'm back in the saddle. I'm like, oh, I just read 100 pages. That's so easy, So it feels like I'm also just using my brain again. Like I've been writing a lot. I've been using cursive again. I just have this deep calling to go analog. It's so deep. And I think it's in balance to AI and where we're going. And I love AI. I'm an early adopter of it. I love it, but I have a really healthy relationship with it, And I don't rely on it at all. It's more playful for me. And so I love where that's at. It's headed. There's nothing we can do to stop it. It's a one-way train. And so I think this relationship I'm building with it, I was telling Jessica, and I wrote this in my Substack that came out today, I have this deep ping that the universe has been sending to me where it's like, get rid of your phone, like have it in a drawer somewhere, right? And it's not this thing of like, the phone is so scary. And I get that. I get all the things that's problematic about the phone. I totally understand it on many consciousness levels, but it's not that. It's this longing of spaciousness where I want to go back to, and I'm questionable about even this, of going back to a landline, like only being reachable by landline or by mail. I'm very interested in that. And there's this magnetism that comes with it because it's kind of like I don't have to live on the timeline and the social media and the things that people are, that are saying the world is right now. I don't. My Substack's defied that. My one goal was I'm going to start Substack and I wanted to pay for all of the overhead, period. I want that. And I'm like 800 paid subscribers away from that. I'm almost making
wow.
And so it's like, and I go onto Instagram once a week right now. So it's like, I don't have to live in this box that we're fed. But again, I've built a huge community through this brand, through my blog before and stuff. So it's different, but it's possible for anybody to listen to what the universe is telling us, those pings. And so I've been getting that ping. I was like laughing with my friends in Mendocino at the 4th of July, who are very analog in many ways. Like people are living in tiny homes and farming. Like they're so close with nature and living in a raw coastal place and being self-sufficient. And I was like laughing with my friend who's up there, Lauren, and her partner. They live totally off grid. He's built these like really incredible off-grid homes, one in the Oakland Hills and one in Philo. And we went to go visit their Philo one because I have this like dream on my Victorian ranch. I want this off-grid. They're like these old vintage fire watch stations. Have you ever seen those? They're like full of windows. Then I'm like, I want one of those at the top of the ridge because when you're at the top of our ranch on the ridge, you can see the full perspective of that ocean.
Wow.
You can see like down to this one lighthouse all the way. And I'm like, I want that. And I want it fully off grid. And so I went to go visit their space and they literally have like the outhouse he's built in the redwoods. And so he's done it so beautifully. They've done it so beautifully. It's so magical. So we've been joking where I was like, I keep having this ping that I want a landline and only to be reachable by mail. And when I say mail, I mean like 16th century like wax seal, not like an envelope, but you make it out of the paper you're writing it in. And then my friend who lives up there, Jenna, sent me this video that she saw on Instagram of how people do it. So all this to say, I think the things I'm really lit up about right now are that kind of stuff. I'm really into researching how to have like a proper big scale biodynamic farm. But if I'm getting down to like little teeny things that are lighting me up, that people find accessible, I'm really into this warming mask. There's this really clean line that my facialist Tess uses called IS Clinical. I think that's the name of it. And there's this honey warming mask where it's a mask that has papaya enzymes, but it also has honey and propolis and royal jelly in it. So it's meant to be a cleanser. In fact, it's a cleanser. It's called honey warming cleanser, but I wear it as a mask and it's like the most gentle, resurfacing, glowy. So I love that. I'm really into that. And what are the other things? I've been sharing a lot on Substack. I'm very into, at this moment, I've always been like this, but really interesting talisman jewelry, very bespoke. And so one thing I've been wearing a lot lately, there's this one particular jewelry artist that has a lot of very symbolic jewelry that I love, and a shop in town carries her called August LA. And her name's Gabriella Kiss. And I love, she makes like 18 karat ants. And I love all of and I have a lot of her jewelry that's very symbolic. I have things that are like, she has this one Latin inscribed bands and stuff like that. So I've been really into her work and that stuff. And what else? I feel it's mostly the analog stuff. What about you, Jessica? I feel like you're more on the
I don't know about that right now, but I just have to say, so the analog stuff is so interesting to me because I think it bucks the norm of the part of me that is obsessed with innovation, right? Yeah. And like wants to say like, how do we do this differently? Or like, how do we look at what we did and do it different? We think we have to be glued to our phones. You know what I mean? We think we have to respond. We have to respond to the DMs. We have to post X amount of times a week. This is the way to succeed in the modern business landscape or whatever it is. And to say, to have that expansion with your Substack of like, Nope, I can go on once a week. I can share authentically, a full creative channel. I can meet my needs even through that one portal.
Yeah.
That is so expansive for people. I think everyone is craving less phone time. Everyone is fatigued of how much content is on there, and everyone is craving newness, something different, and they're craving in person, frankly.
Yeah.
But there's such an addiction. There's such an addiction if people have businesses on there. Now people are selling just a piece of glass that is the shape of a phone. So when you pick it up, you don't accidentally open your phone and you just use the piece of glass and are like, oh, right. Your body is so wired to pick up our phones.
For that dopamine hit.
So it's like, oh, pick this up instead, hold it for a second, and then just don't. Obviously, it's not a phone, so you can't go on it.
Wow.
So it's just like taking our power back with that so
authenticity
much.
back.
Yes.
Like, what is our authentic? That's the big question I have. What is my authentic relationship right now to the current landscape and to media? That's what I'm exploring. What is my authentic gift and relationship with connection in general and media in general? Because I'm also not the type of person who hangs out with a lot of people. I don't. I'm an Aquarius and a projector. You could leave me alone for a month and not see anybody, and I'm just with my animals and I'm so happy. But that's, I guess, the bigger thing is like each of us just sort of questioning that right now. Like, what? I know I'm consuming this all day because I'm supposed to, or I'm supposed to do it because of my business or whatever. But it's like, no, what do I want? What lights me up? Also, the shit that's filling up our heads every day, all day, that's in our nervous system. That's in our subconscious now, looping as our new reality. And it's like, no, what do I want my reality to be? What am I manifesting? So it's just another place to look at this manifestation process that's like, am I aligned and authentic right now? No, I'm not. I'm not. All this shit's dictating my reality, my thoughts, my intentions, my fears, all that stuff.
It's so interesting because I've been really tested with launching this YouTube because from the beginning, my intention was for it to be a pure creative channel. I didn't want to optimize it. I don't want it to be hook based. Any of the content online that tells you how you should launch a YouTube or how you should do this. I don't want any of it in my head when I'm creating it. I want to be pure. Like, I have this fantasy of like Joan Didion in her office writing and just what's coming to her mind and putting it down, but in video form. That's the kind of like relationship to it I want. And then I'll talk to friends who are amazing at business and they're like, you should be monetizing on Substack and do it in this way and put this and put the hook there and you can get the emails and don't forget to collect the leads. And I'm like, they're right. This is smart. But my gut is saying no.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
how
like,
I was.
And so I've been teetering between the two where I'm like, am I just saying no to like a potentially new great income portal that I know I could feed and I know it'd be great? Or, and like being silly by just saying like, fuck it. I can't collect emails on YouTube. I have no autonomy over that stuff. But for whatever reason, this ping is so loud and so clear. That is where it needs to go without thinking of the safety net of it. It's almost like if I did the Substack to get the emails and all of the stuff, that's protecting for some future something. Whereas the YouTube is like its own essence and its energy is untainted in some way.
Totally.
I don't know. So I've been toying with these two of like, is it a silly business decision? But every time when I really sit with it and I process it, I can't explain why, but I just have to do it like this.
Yeah, that was the same thing with Substack, which you guys were the ones who got to start a Substack. And I'm like, I don't even get what that is. But I had that yearning to like have complete self-expression again outside of the brand. And it was from day one of it was like, there's no content pillars. There's just none of the things that a business has to have. No. And like right now, every week I just ask my guides, I'm like, what am I supposed to share? I don't even write down, account, nothing. And that's what I think that's so important because I think that's what everybody's craving, watching, looking at, being a part. It's authentic. It's not led by these motivations. And that's why I think these things are successful. When people aren't doing them in a way to have a result, So I say follow your passion because it's what God, the universe is telling you to do.
And it also is that ultimate trust muscle too of like, okay, I really can't see the bigger picture here. And my monkey mind, my strategy brain is like, I could think of 10 different ways to optimize this in a better situation. But it's like almost preempting me for something I cannot see on the other side. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know what that means. Even if it means the YouTube is watched by like one person, maybe that's all this is. And I need to make peace with it. But it's just so... yeah, it's been so loud. Stop doing the what you think you should do to grow or anything like that. Leave all of that away. Avoid that. Do not follow that content right now. Like it has to be pure.
Yeah, I feel too, back to my original thought, is I think people are craving that. They want to see that. Like everything people are fed right now, it has manipulation behind it in a way. And even us as a brand for so long, we were like, nobody's watching our YouTube. Fuck it. We don't need one. Like we got rid of Facebook. We got rid of Twitter. We just were like, no, people are listening to the podcast. We'll follow what they like. We followed our own beat for a long time. And I just think that also made us very successful because we were authentic. And I think that, I think the more authentic people can be always, obviously, that's what I believe is magnetism. But I think that there's just this new layer digitally that people aren't totally digging into, the way that we do with the money challenge or the way that we do with love or calling in a home. What is our authentic relationship digitally?
You've heard us talk about our Pathway membership, but what actually is it? It is an all-access membership where you can get every single workshop that we've ever created, all of our deep imaginings, which are our reprogramming audios, to help you manifest. You can access it on the desktop or in the TBM app on your phone directly. We, of course, have our foundational workshops, such as our How to Manifest workshop, which takes you step by step through this neural manifestation process to actually unblock, expand, and take aligned action to connect with your manifestations. Our How to Be Magnetic workshop, our Inner Child and Shadow workshops. And then, of course, we have a workshop if you are in a rut, if you're in a rock bottom, if you're in an up level, perhaps you need to set boundaries. Maybe you want to focus specifically on the block of money or love. It is all in there. And then twice a year as a community, we gather for our challenges. Our challenges are one of the most effective parts of the process because you get accountability. It is really a handheld experience in how to work through whatever the theme of that year's challenge is. And now to my absolute favorite part of our membership, which I think in and of itself would be worth the entire weight of the membership if we just had this alone, our Deep Imagining library. This library encompasses over 60 neural reprogramming audio tracks. They're self-hypnosis tracks that will really support you in any step of this journey. If you're needing calming, nervous system regulation, unblocking with a specific test or trigger, going through a difficult time, processing a big emotion, or maybe you just want reinforcing, how to reinforce those neural pathways of confidence, abundance, self-worth, deservingness, and connection with your dream life. And not only that, if you go to the app, we just launched Deep Imagining playlists where we're grouping different themes of DIs together. So no matter what you're going through, you have something for you. And we're constantly dropping new playlists as well as brand new Deep Imaginings. And if you need more support in your process, you can go to our brand new video series, Channelings with Lacy, where she touches on the exact energetics that are going on right now in manifestation and how it may apply to your life. So obviously, I am a huge fan of this membership. The peace of mind I get from being able to have all the tools I need at my disposal, no matter where I'm at with my life, if shit's hitting the fan, if I'm feeling dysregulated, if I'm needing to come back to my center, if I'm needing to brainstorm or daydream or connect with what my vision for my future is, every single tool is in there to support me. And don't just take my word for it. We have thousands of testimonials of people who have had incredible success stories with these tools. So take the guesswork out of your manifestation process and get real tools that are going to give you real results. For podcast listeners only, you can use code EXPANDED, all caps EXPANDED, for 20% off your first month of the pathway. Join now and have your best year yet. One of the questions was like running an authentic and aligned business. Talk about the TBM Breaks the seasonal breaks. And I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so rare. I've never seen a company do that. And it has been so instrumental on so many levels. But yeah, share for about that.
Yeah, that was something. Well, I've always loved how Europeans take 6 weeks off in the summer. I just am like, yeah, dude, that's what we should all be doing, especially if you have a family. That's so important. That's something that Max and I really wanted to do next year. We want to take the summer with our kids. Like, I've gotten to watch this year how hard it's been for my kids to be out of a rhythm. Because even little Gus, like, we started a little Waldorf homeschooling pod with friends here on our property. And Gus, he weaves into it each day. He's doing, so they had this rhythm with this Waldorf rhythm. And we have a similar rhythm in our lives, but not this one that they go every day and they do that. That rhythm is so important for children. And so in LA, there's this thing of like camps. Your kids go to camps, which means like 4 hours a day, like just long enough to do nothing. That's like my joke with Tess, who has a kid too. And just like, cool, yeah, 9 to 1, great. Like nothing's going to get that time by the time I drop them or pick them up
And
or
come
whatever.
back, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, forget it. But it's been so hard for my daughter. Every 2 weeks is a new teacher's doing a camp, and that's so hard for her to be like switching through these different energies. So anyways, what we had been doing as a team for quite some time is we take a full 2 weeks right after the challenges. So at the holidays, right? So you go through Yule, basically it's the Yule, from right before Christmas to the New Year. We do similarly at right around the 4th of July every year. We take that. And when we were coming back from the 4th of July, I was like, we should be doing this at the equinoxes. Like, why aren't we those are such sacred times, right? The autumn and spring equinox. And so we're going to start to weave those in now a week at those points. And I just think that it's baffling to me that companies don't do that. But I do think we run very different than most companies. Like, we're so self-sufficient and independent, each person.
Yeah.
I mean, you oversee a lot of people, but for the most part, there's not really like managers breathing down your throat.
No,
or
it's not
like
a hierarchy.
That.
Yeah.
No, which is, I think, very unusual. Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you chime in, Jessica, how that feels, because you know more of like company culture. I don't really know what other companies are doing that much, but that feels really right to me.
I mean, I can only speak to the film and television world, but whenever I was in-house in companies, I remember having to go in on Christmas Eve. Like,
wow.
And I remember sitting there and I was so resentful and I was like, no one is here. No one gives a shit about TV stuff. We're not on deadline. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, this is so ridiculous. And there felt like in a lot of the bigger companies I've worked for in those worlds, a body in seat meant it was a successful day. It wasn't about the actual work that was turned out. It wasn't about effort put in. It was like, well, did they show up? Great. That was something of value. And I think there's still a lot of corporations that abide by that. I know a friend who works at one of the big studios. They have to clock in just to show that they were in the office 3 times a week. She'll go and she'll swipe and then she'll leave. No one's checking. She's like, I'm not getting work done here. There's no one in this office. What am I doing here? Like, this is ridiculous. So I think it's almost like there are arbitrary rules in so many working systems, and everyone can see that like it's not effective. It's not working. It's not getting the best results out of anyone. So like, kind of what are we doing? I think it'll probably be time before people start to catch on. I mean, it just started swinging to remote during COVID because people were forced to do that. And now, a lot of companies have gone back, but my experience with the breaks has been so instrumental on a mental health level, on a growth level, on a spiritual level, all of these things. But also the other kind of like added benefit is because we have to prep podcast, social to run while we're gone and to load and be prepared and everything so we can keep on with the cycles, which that in and of itself is a whole, like the world's transitioning off of those systems. Cycles.
Yeah. What's that look like? Are people only doing seasons now? I'm like, how do we not?
I know they're starting to, but it's just not there. There is still very much a content wheel. Yeah. But I do think people are feeling into like, what would a different model look like? They're starting to get curious.
Instead of being on all the time.
Because it's just not sustainable. Not everyone
No.
functions like that. But having those right before break, I would say like the 2 or 3 weeks before we see an increase of workload, whatever. But I personally love it because it feels like a sprint before a full off. I'm getting everything done in this sprint, in this pocket with intention, knowing that I'm going to have the restoration on the other side. And then the added blessing is when you come back, we're not coming back to that same sprint energy we were in before because we don't have the same turnout we need and the same deadline. So we come back and it's the only break I've ever come back to and not felt extraordinarily overwhelmed with 2 weeks worth of stuff because we prepped ourselves before. So we come back in, we're like, oh, we already have this week's stuff locked and loaded. Now we can get creative. Coming back from big breaks is when I'm like, okay, big picture planning. What's the next season look like? What's the next 5 years? What are the things that we're missing as a business and we need to like move into or think about or consider? Where do we need to pivot? Where do we need to drop old systems? It's always big picture coming back from it, which I feel like just feels like such good energy to have that ebb and flow.
I agree. And basically, I've been thinking about this a lot, having kids. And like I was telling Jessica, I was on a walk this week, and there are these 2 really wonderful older women I always run into on my hike. And I've been like thinking about just like AI and how many jobs are going to go to AI so rapidly, so much more rapidly than any of us think. And she was telling me about her husband who consults for Kelley Blue Book. I forget who their parent company is, but they have tons of money, whatever. There was this Zoom where basically tons of people on the creative team got onto the Zoom all together. They were all laid off at once because AI is taking over all of their jobs. So there's this thing I've been thinking about so much. I mean, I'm just like a projector Aquarius, so I think about this all the time. Like I think about systems in general. But if you think about everything you were just saying, Jessica, about corporate and I think even boutique companies run this way, where it's like people have to be at an office, which is so fascinating to me. I would hate to be at an office surrounded by all of us all. I would hate, that would be like the worst nightmare. I'd be like dying inside. I'm like, I have autoimmune. I need to like take 3 naps. I can't function that way. But it's funny how, there was a very conscious intention to start a schooling system where kids go at a young age and they sit at a desk and they're there and they have to be there to get funding for school. And it's under fluorescent lighting and it's like they have to learn all of these things that now are completely not going to at all really matter for anybody because of AI. So it's like there is such a disruption. And we've been hearing about this. It's what I channeled, what human design channeled, what all astrology is channeling. But like on our way to 2027, all these systems as we know them are going to radically transform into the individual again. They're really going to get into like, what is truthful for me? What's authentic for me? And like just last night, we were having this conversation with our friend who helped us with the children. I didn't go to college and Max didn't go to college. I did a little bit of community college and I was like, oh, I don't even know what I want to do. And I'm going to blow a lot of money, like having a lot of debt, not knowing what I want to do. And that's crazy. And so we were talking to her just like more about her experience. And she has young cousins that are going into college. And we feel so holy. We're like, if our kids want to go, that's wonderful. If they are seeking academia or that or experience, but we could give a shit if our kids ever go to college, right? Especially where things are headed. And so it's so interesting what you're saying, because the people who have these corporations or have been through the corporate system, they've all been completely programmed since they were children that that's how things function. That's order, that's school. And then you go and do that. And it's like, no, as we're moving into 2027, it is now that we need to get very clear on what makes us totally authentic and unique and follow that. And what is our greatest integrity? Because that North Star is what's going to get us through the massive amount of stripping that's going to continue. Stripping wasn't just for 2025. That's going to keep going and going. And so, yeah, I always love, what was it, Jessica, that you did the AI prompt a long time ago on Instagram that was about a personal brand? I remember that, right? Which I want you to prompt something that I've done since that. It goes hand in hand with the personal brand thing, but I take it a bit deeper and I'm like, what's my unique gift? So first talk about how you
Yeah.
came up with that, because I think that's really helpful in this conversation with what people are going to be experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, I was just experimenting with AI because it had just come out. I was like, what can this thing do? What can it show me? I'm curious, all the things. I think we're in the midst of the authenticity challenge. I was using it to sort through, I was using it as a sorting system to figure out what my authentic code was. And I put all the words and all the journal prompts in there and any other words that spoke to me. And I was like, okay, break these down into 4 categories. And I think the first 4 categories it gave me, I was like, not quite. And I kept giving it notes back to be like, oh, wait, yep, that's it. Actually, can we pull this one? So I also want to give that licensing to people that if you're using ChatGPT for spiritual stuff, for personal branding stuff, like you have ultimate authority. You know what is a yes in your gut. You know what is a yes for you. So like make sure you're having that as your North Star. But
especially because it hallucinates and it like tailors things for you.
Yes, it is always going to optimize to keep you feeling good about your interaction with it because it wants you to keep using it. So just have that in the back of your mind. It's always kind of buttering you up in a way. That's why when people bring it to arguments, it's almost always going to say that you are in the right of the argument. So keep that in mind when you're getting perspective from it. So I put that in and then I was like, okay, let me cross-reference this with what my gene keys are and what my astrology, my big 3 in astrology or any other aspects of my astrology and the main aspects of my human design. And I was like, given all of these different systems, what patterns are you picking up on? Like, what are the themes that you're seeing? If I wanted to be like my most authentic self, lean into the things that the gifts I'm interested in this lifetime, like what are you picking up on? And it gave really cool, profound answers. And a couple other pieces, especially if you guys are using this for like career or business in any way, shape or form, your incarnation cross and human design, your midheaven, the MC, I think that has a lot to do with career, and also your 10th house in astrology, which has to do with career too. So just adding those other little ones helped give it a broader picture, but it's also just so wild to see with all these different systems, the through line of actually what my gut had always felt and wanted was there. But the systems are just giving me permission to go for it. Part of my big 4 in human design has to do with like innovation and storytelling. And I'm like, I could have told you that. I went to film school. Like I'm always looking at the new tech for something. I knew that. But it's almost like you need that confirmation.
Yeah.
What did you add to yours that it brought up?
I always screenshot my things because people make a grand mistake of like going to ChatGPT and just giving it their birth information, and it never gets your stuff right, ever. It'll never. So you have to feed it specific. So like, I'll take a screenshot of my human design chart. I'll take a screenshot of my astrology chart, my gene keys, and also I just say I'm a numerology 4, and I'll give it my authentic code. So I said, from that, what is my gift? What is the thing beyond anything? I'm like, what is my gift? And it said, my specific gift is it's not keeping up with like the social things. It's not trying to be on the trends and the things whatsoever. My gift is helping people remember the remembering of the things that are inside of them. So like herbalism and manifestation. And it's remembering this type of living that is ancestral, that is witchy. That's like my thing, right? And so it's not putting out content all the time. It's none of that. And in fact, the more that I stay in my lane and I do my gift, the quicker things grow. And I really have to like look at Substack as such a great example of that. And so I now do it for many things. I did that. I pulled like Teddy's and Gus's, and I was like, what's our family flow? What's our rhythm that works for us?
Yeah.
How are we supposed to be eating? I ask it that stuff, and I think it's really helpful. But I say all of this because as you're hearing this conversation and knowing most things as you know them are going to change without a doubt with AI. And also many things are going to be stripped. Why not experiment with this or find a reader who can do all of this reading for you at once? What is your authentic gift? Even asking it, like, what is my relationship with the digital world? That gives me permission now to only post on Substack once a week about the shit that lights me up. I knew I should be doing that, but now if I do, that leads to a lot more success without hustling. So I think it's really interesting as we're having these conversations. What is Like we've even done TBM. We found TBM astrology and human design based on its like incarnation. And even we're thinking of potentially doing a speaking tour. And I really now want to pull Jessica's astrocartography, mine, and also TBMs, and like, where should we be speaking at? So anyways, I say that as we're having these conversations of like really getting authentic, looking at businesses authentically, looking at everything authentically in our world. These are the ways that I actually like to use and play with digital stuff to get information. It's playful.
It's so funny that yours said that because that feels so spot on for you. 1,000%, like 1,001%. And you can see how many different verticals, pathways, how vast it could be, you know, and like how many different things. Even you talking about the stamp and mail, I'm like, this is why you have to do that, because this is part of your purpose. You're bringing us, you're helping the UPS system again.
That's like almost got taken away a couple years ago. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, no, exactly.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, it was funny when I went through mine. One of the biggest themes that came up time and time again was guiding people through change and helping them do it, basically looking at the structures and understanding what needs to go and what they don't have to be afraid of in the new. And then doing it from a place of integrity. Like integrity is some big part of this whole chart thing of mine. But it's interesting when I think about that. And then I think about like the YouTuber, I think about sharing authentically on the podcast, or I think about the work that we're doing in TBM. Like it's all part of that, but can look so many different ways. So I just also want people to kind of clock for themselves whatever they find, how many different ways that expression can live out. It doesn't have to be one lane. It doesn't have to look like one thing. I remember when I first read my incarnation cross, I was like, what does that mean? Like, what am I going to be doing? Like, what does that actually say?
Mine's an influencer. Being an influencer. So it's like you're here to influence your aura influences when you're into something. It's so fascinating.
I love it. Okay, this is just from Jen and Zoe's Human Design app. So if you guys haven't checked it out, of the Align app. But basically, my life theme is as we move into the future faster than we ever have before, it can feel very unsafe and unsure. If we don't do it right, we feel like we can lose our stability. This is where you come in, because providing the stability by just being you is what people want from you the most. Therefore, what will bring you the most success. It's your strong sense of values, ability to create good things out of challenging starting materials, and excitement about the change that makes you uniquely qualified to handle this process of changing so beautifully. Obviously, it can apply to many things, but you have to do in the areas you're passionate about.
Yes. And this is so true. Like, thank God you're writing the challenges.
And I'm so excited. I'm like, guys, we're going to go in our shadow. They're like, what?
Yeah, totally. No, that's so true. This is so true.
It's really fascinating. It's a good touch point now, especially if people are in their magic dark, to be like, why the fuck am I going through all of this? It's like, oh, there is a bigger mission at play here. I almost feel like every individual should have like their own mission statement. You know how like companies have mission statements? It's almost like we're at the era where every individual needs to have their mission statement of like, what is my impact? What is my stamp? How am I using my energy, my wisdom, my gifts to have that positive impact on the world?
I love that.
Oh, so good.
I know. This is great. Fun anniversary episode. I love it.
I know. So fun. Share them with us. Like send them over to the TBM account. Don't send them to Lacy's account because she will be off in the grid somewhere.
You can mail them to me. Yeah,
you can mail them to her.
Carrier pigeon.
I want to see what comes up for you guys. And if you feel like this stuff is resonating, if you feel like you even have clarity on what your purpose or mission is without looking at any of this stuff, like, is it just dropping in intuitively too?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I know it's always so fun to get to debrief and break down where everybody's at and connect in person. Just a couple tool suggestions for you guys. So we actually shared a reel on socials this past week by our incredible content creator, Cynthia, who did the sneaky ways that I get in my daily practice for TBM. So a lot of questions we get from you guys is like, how do I fit this into my practice? How do I make it my own? How do I not fall off? And I think the easiest answer is make it a part of your daily routine, whether you're doing 5 minutes of it or whether you're doing a full journal prompt or a full workshop with us, right? So I like to just sneak it in on the days that I can. And you know what? Letting go on the days that I can't and making peace with that and being really intuitive with the work. So if you are going through this big transformation cycle with us, I would highly recommend checking out our Magic Dark Deep Imagining playlist. This is going to help that surrender piece. We also have a surrender playlist, Deep Imagining as well. All the DIs in there are going to be really your nurturance right now. I know the ones that I've been leaning on are worst case scenario. I've been going back and doing our old trigger DI. I've been doing inner child, our validate DI, everything to really nurture my inner child who has been really triggered in the past few weeks in a lot of ways. And I will give you guys this other note. There is light at the end of the tunnel because I had a huge manifestation come through this past week and I felt it coming. And I feel like sitting with not shying away from all of the little triggers and things that were pulling at me feeling insecure or judging myself or mad at this timeline or, feeling like I couldn't get it all done, right? Like leaning into any single trigger or test or thing that was pulling at me and saying like, no, I'm not going to look away. I'm going to sit with this inner child part. I think that had a massive, massive impact on this manifestation landing. I will share more about it as it unfolds, but it feels like just the beginning of kind of an even bigger manifestation that's unfolding behind the scenes. But I just wanted to share that. So if you are feeling that transition, that call to the bigger piece, like things will start to shake out, even if it's not the full thing. If you don't shy away from those hard moments and you really sit in and show up for yourself, things will shift. Okay, I'll see you next week.